Hey, what's up guys, it's Graphic Phoenix back with another video today, and today we're going to be setting up a baby dart frog enclosure. These are a couple of the things that I'm going to be using in mine. This is primarily to make the mix for the bottom. We got fluval carbon there, we got some Exoterra forest bark, we got a fluval compact top for light, just a kind of crappy piece of cork bark that I had sitting around, jungle mix, the tank itself. In the tank we have hydro balls already in there, and then a layer of mesh to separate it. And finally over here we have oak leaf litter. So this, like I was saying, is going to be a setup video for the baby dart frogs that are going to be morphing right away. So let's go check them out. On our way by, we've spotted the reticulata. Ranitomea reticulata. Here we are at the tadpole rearing center. This is basically where all the tads are evolving, metamorphosizing, whatever you want to call it. You can see here we have various stages from this guy that's out and about and starting to have back legs, anywhere to this guy back here that's just starting to get some colors but no back legs or anything like that, as well as something like this guy that will probably be the first to come out of water. There we go. You can see he's tripping out there. There you go. So now that we've checked out the tadpoles, we can finally get to the cage setup. Let's get to it. So first we're going to be making the substrate layer to this cage. That is going to be a kind of modification on an AGB mix, which involves peat moss, orchid bark, sphagnum, carbon, and tree fern. But I have a very limited amount of tree fern available, and I will not be using that in this mix just because this is for the babies and it does not need to be 100% perfect. So you're going to want to add 1 part carbon. And I am just totally eyeballing this, by the way. 1 part jungle bark, or forest bark. Then you're going to want to add 2 parts jungle mix. And this is going to be about 1.5 parts of coconut coir. Mix it all up here. Basically the goal for this mix is that there is going to be some nutrients in there, as well as it will be airy and light and not get super compacted. For the next stage, we'll add it into the cage. This is a 12 by 12 by 12 Exoterra front opening terrarium that I'll be using for this. And I'm basically just gonna go right ahead and dump that all in there. Alright, so I actually had to make a second batch just to add for a nice deep substrate layer in this tank, because I will be growing some plants in here. Now that is something that I didn't mention when I first introduced, but I will have live plants in here. That's why I want to get a decent light, and that is the Fluval Mini Compact Power PCL13. So now that we have the substrate layer in, as you can see, and I showed you how to make that, I will be adding in some plants to this tank. I'm going to get those and we'll be right back. So we're back, and I have some plants with me right beside me here. We have some nice red nerve plant there. 3 stems of it. I'm just gonna put it in here, set it down in there. And this guy's actually from another one of my dart frog tanks. This is just a small little cutting. So this guy here is a Swiss cheese philodendron, or a Monstera acuminata. I don't know if I pronounced it right. I'll leave it on your screen right now. And last but not least, we have this fern that's just kind of not doing so hot, so I figured I'd give it a chance in the dart frog tank. It's not doing very well, but we'll give it a shot and see if it lives. Now, baby dart frogs, while I haven't had any myself, I do work at a place that breeds their own dart frogs, and they do love to have a healthy substrate layer, as well as some places to retreat to in order to hide, stay away from light, which is kind of why I got the cork bark. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. I think I'm just gonna kind of stack it in the back like that. So, I mean, it's not all that creative, but it doesn't really matter. This is more for function rather than it is for beauty. But I'm gonna begin planting and you guys can watch. So now we're all planted up. The red nerve plant is kind of clustered towards the front. The fern is in the back corner. As you saw, the cork bark is also stacked against the wall in the back corner there. And the Monstera acuminata, I think that's what it's called, or like Swiss cheese philodendron, is poised against this piece of cork bark in hopes that it will actually climb the cork bark. I don't know if that's what will end up happening, but it is a sort of viney plant that produces a lot of aerial roots, so hopefully that's what it'll do. So one key component to keeping baby dart frogs happy is plenty of spaces for them to hide. And plenty of spaces to hide are provided by the leaf litter. Now this, you can rip the leaves up. I'm probably gonna have to rip that one up, it's a pretty big leaf, but just throw them in here all willy-nilly. You don't need to be careful, you don't need to really plan it out all that well. Just throw it in here, they'll find their happy little caves and whatnot. Yeah, so really that's all you need to do. Like, they'll be able to hide in all those little cracks and crevices all along there. You don't need to be too strategic with placing the leaf litter. You do need to have some in there just so it provides some security for them. What would a dart frog tank be without it being bioactive? For those of you that don't know what Bioactive is, I'll leave a link on the screen right now, and that's guides to a video that I was with my friends Jungle Jewel, or Don and Lucas, and they were basically discussing keeping dart frogs with us. I know it's a long video, but it has a ton of information, and I hope you guys go check it out. Link's on the screen right now, and it's also in the description. So in order to make this tank bioactive, I'm going to be adding springtails. You can see those little dudes just moving there. You can kind of see them. They're white, as well as isopods. Now this is kind of moldy in here, and there's not too many that I see right now, but there are isopods in here, so I'll be adding both of those in order to make this tank bioactive. So before I add the bioactivity, the microorganisms to the tank, I'm just going to give it a nice healthy misting. Give these plants some water. See that guy? There you go. You saw him. So that's basically what I'm adding to this tank, are some isopods, in hopes that they'll be a sort of a cleanup crew and help with cleaning up this tank. Alrighty, and now that we have that all said and done, I am going to put on the light, get that turned on, and then I'm going to add the springtails, and hopefully we'll have some nice bright light over this tank. So I'm going to get that set up. I mean, it's not too hard. I could show you what it looks like. It's basically just a beautiful looking light, essentially, with a little bit of a clamp here, and that's all. So I'm not going to show you the setup of this because, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but I'll be back when the tank is nice and lit. So we got the light all set up now, and I had to be a little bit creative because this is actually meant to attach onto a fish tank, so the clip at the back here obviously doesn't fit into the back of a Exoterra reptile tank. So I had a small little ruler just kind of sitting around, and I used that, and it's actually pretty stable. It's almost a little too high above the tank, but it gives the tank a nice ambiance. So I'm going to add the springtails right on top of there. So I added a little springtail food right on top, as you can see there. I added a little bit more over here, some in the back corner, and some you can't really see. I didn't do much here, but a little bit right there. So that is how to set up a baby dart frog tank or a froglet tank. I will warn you guys, a froglet is not going to be the only thing that goes in this tank. I may have something up my sleeve, I'm not quite sure, but we'll find out. You guys will see, don't worry. This is the tank for now. This is kind of the beginning shot you can see there. Swiss cheese. red nerve plant. Look, that looks gorgeous. And a assorted fern. I have no idea what kind of fern that is. And that's the overall tank. 12 by 12 by 12 Exoterra froglet or not froglet setup. So I've had a lot of people asking me for a video of the cage just like this one that I made earlier this year. And it's looking really, really good. I'll be sure to make that for you guys, hopefully starting it this weekend and finishing it in the next couple weeks. I am in school and that is my main priority, so the tank building typically takes a couple weeks for me. For most people it'll only take 5 or 6 hours, but honestly, I like to spend my time, I like to make sure it's right, and I like to make sure that it's done well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that I might have missed while explaining anything from the bedding to the bioactive life to whatever you guys have questions about, leave it in the comments down below. If you made it to the end of the video, leave the word nerve in the comments down below, just so I know you made it to the very end. If you guys like this video and want to see more of this kind of thing, subscribe to my channel and drop a like down below. Have a good one, guys. Graphic Phoenix, out of here.